Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. And we have that lightest of stories. And by the term lightest, I mean the complete opposite, the heaviest of stories. Because we're talking about Bunter. I did a quick flash video last night where I said that rumours were afoot that a certain Humble Crofter wanted to become the Speaker of the House, apparently, even though announcing that he would be resigning or retiring come the next general election. It seems that may not be the case should he become Speaker. He would reverse his decision and he would stay on. And you've got to hope that he doesn't, because I think the people of Ross, Skye and Lochaber really want change. They're fed up with the Humble Crofter and his pie-eating ways. And it will allow him to spend more time with somebody else's wife. Now, he, of course, is a loathsome individual. He's an adulterer and a bit of a slob. But it must also be said that in terms of the Lindsay Hoyle affair, he is the biggest, most significant name of the SNP MPs who did not sign the motion to remove Lindsay Hoyle. I am understanding that they are chums. They go and have a little circle Greggs together. You hold mine, I'll hold yours, then put it in each other's mouths. I am entirely talking about sausage rolls, not anything else, but we know that that's where they get their jollies. But we'll have a look and see if it's possible for Bunter to become Speaker. Dear God, no. Here goes. Now, we all know deep down that no matter how badly he wants this, it just isn't going to happen. The people, you know, the MPs, they go, no. They aren't going to have him. He isn't respected across the House. He's loathed by quite a few people. He's seen as a figure of ridicule. And I think that a lot of people will be glad that he's actually upping sticks and going. Although he is desperate, apparently, to get into the Lords. Presumably because he needs to earn that £100,000 a year just simply for turning up without having to do any work. He turns up, has a little snooze, goes home, gets paid his money. Marvellous. And then he can go around the corner and have his little love nest in Piccadilly or wherever he can find somewhere to live. I'm suggesting Piccadilly would be quite good for him. Right opposite London's best pie shop, Fortnum's. Not that I can afford Fortnum's, you understand. We do treat ourselves every now and again, but it's very, very, very specialist. But they're biscuits to die for. Anyway, I'm off on a little reverie of Fortnum's biscuits there. But of course he's not going to get it. But it's a little pipe dream for him. And I think, you know, man's got to have a dream. Man's got to have something he can look forward to. And in his case, it's looking forward to the big chair. Although for many people, I think the electric chair would be better. Anyway, the Ross, Skye and Lochaber MP may seem like an outsider, but the SNP has been interested in the Speaker's role before, with Pete Wishart only ditching his bid because he was convinced IndyRef 2 would take place in 2020. Boy, did he regret that. Can you imagine Pete Wishart? Oh, God. If anything, and I've got to be honest here, if anything, he would be worse, I think, than Blackford. Anyway, House Commons Speaker Sir Lindsay Hoyle is clinging to his future in the role after a day of carnage at Westminster. Now, currently, the numbers, I think it's 70. I think it's hit 70 now. But again, this is an ongoing thing. This is growing all the time. There's more and more people. And as more names are going to it, more people are thinking, okay, look, I can go to this. There'll be less risk if I put my name on it. And so you're getting a lot more people putting their names on this list. So I think it will go. I can't see his position as being tenable. Previous to that, you have, oh God, who was it? Michael Martin. Now, Martin went, and there was a similar list going around. It only had 22 names on it. The fact that there's 70 now and Hoyle still isn't thinking of going goes to show that he is desperately clinging on, you know, because he knows he's got nothing left. If he goes, he's done, isn't he? And that's good. Anyway, He's faced criticism for allowing a Labour amendment to an SNP motion to be considered by MPs along with a government amendment, and thus breaking a long-standing standing order. A long-standing standing order. That kind of sounds very odd, but there we go. A long-term standing order. There we go. That's better. Which means that conventionally, on an opposition day, and it was an SNP opposition day, they would forward their motion. There'd be one amendment from the government, but you'd vote on the opposition motion first. What's called a clean vote. Then you discuss the amendment, you vote on that, and you move on. And that's it. However, despite all the warnings, he did not. And of course, that has caused uproar, as we've seen, absolute chaos. The SNP, now, completely disagree. We know that the SNP were doing what they were doing purely for cynical reasons, to try and embarrass Labour. And that, but that what it is and everything like that is beside the point. The point is, it was an SNP opposition day, and you should stick by the rules, and he did not. And so a man who is a member of the Labour Party, he's a Labour MP, was not independent on that day. And by allowing a Labour motion simply to stop Sir Keir Starmer having a rift in his party, that is why he needs to go. And so, of course, once that seat is vacant, and I think it has to be, I mean, if he stays, there's going to be a lot of very unhappy people. So I think once that seat's vacant, there's going to be a bit of a mad rush, because there'll be a few people who do fancy the role. Being Speaker, you get a little personal uplift because you are in the position of authority. So there's an uplift in money, but you get a nice little grace and favour flat in London. And I think that that would be, Bunter's love nest. Can you imagine? God, it's horrible, isn't it? Anyway, although he's standing down at this year's general election, at least one observer, excuse me, reckons Ian Blackford may be perfect for the job. The former SNP group leader has been a fixture at Westminster since 2015, and despite his antipathy towards the UK, he's believed to be well liked among the Conservatives. Boris Johnson would often claim the pair were friendly, although that was denied by Mr Blackford. I think that could just be Boris Johnson stirring the pot a little bit. Although, I've got to be honest, I do think that Mordaunt and Brock, I could see them ending up as friends. There's always she always comes in and you always get that, but you always see Brock smiling at the end of it. And I honestly think that those two would form, if ever they left Parliament together, they could have their own sort of TV show, go around and doing things, and be a partnership, or just going around on the circuit and talking about things, sort of things that they do. They'd be brilliant. But that's different. Anyway, Blackford, who famously described himself as a humble crofter, despite a background in banking, was ousted as NAT group leader in December 22 by Beryl. But Callum Steele, former Secretary General of the Scottish Police Federation, says he could make a comeback to the front line. I honestly think he's desperate for it, and I think that if he got voted in, he would, he'd say to his party, "No, I'm not leaving. We'll go to the election. I'm standing in the election." I think he'd want it. Anyway, he took to social media to suggest that if Lindsay Hoyle is toast, as he should be, wouldn't it be a jolly jape to see the Conservatives rally round a nomination for Ian Blackford to be the next Speaker? Some voters have also said over the past 24 hours that Blackford brought some gravitas to the role of SNP group leader in comparison to Mr Flynn, who's been heavily criticised for his reaction to the spat. Flynn is a bit of an idiot. Everything he does, it has to be a political point-scoring contest. He can't ever just agree with something if someone has a really good idea. If someone comes up with something and says, actually, this is... And you go, oh, yeah, actually, no, it's a good idea. He will object to it on the principle. And so sometimes, he makes himself out to be petty and spiteful. It's not a good look. Anyway, it might not be as fanciful as people think. With Blackford stepping down within months, he will be free to take the role with few fears of accusations of bias. And it would not be the first time an SNP politician has been interested in becoming Speaker. And there's Wishart, who was desperate for the role a few years ago. Excuse me again. Pete Wishart considered throwing his hat into the ring to replace John Bercow in 2019. He suggested policies such as shortening the time it takes to vote, extending the proxy voting system, and ending the system where the Speaker dictates what MPs should or shouldn't wear. Oh God, if you did that, you're going to end up with MPs wandering around in T-shirts and jeans. And while it's okay for me doing this on a YouTube, I'm sitting in my studio. You know, you want your parliamentarian sitting there with some kind of gravitas. Wear a damn suit, you know. I had to wear a suit. This is the thing. I had to wear a suit every day for 35 years. And, you know, actually I wore trainers in the office, but I always had my shoes with me if I was going in for a meeting. So I'd sit under the desk and be trainers underneath. But, yeah, I was going for a meeting with a client or going in a meeting with an official or something in the council. Shoes went on, you know. You had to. It's the uniform. Anyway, he scrapped his bid. This is Wishart. He scrapped his bid because he was convinced an independence referendum would be held in 2020. But aren't they always? Blackford has also been linked with becoming the first SNP peer, although that has been denied by the party because they don't do that. But there's nothing stopping Blackford taking it up. And if it was offered, I think he would jump at it. Very weird. Anyway, I'll stop there. Come up. If he's definitely going, and this is just me being bad, if he's definitely going, come October, say, stick him in as Speaker. Stick him in as Speaker for the 6 months or so between now and the calling of the election. Just to wind up Labour. Just to have a bit of fun at Labour's expense. You've got to pay someone to do the role. Why not Blackford? Just for 1 6 month period, just as a wind up. Because if not him, then I think, because it can't be Labour's turn, because you've already got Labour now, so it's got to be someone, they rotate, you see, so it's got to be someone who's not Labour. So the next one, either him or I think Rees-Mogg. I think Rees-Mogg would be funny. He'd be excellent speaker, wouldn't he? Order, and his plummy posh, I think it'd be marvellous. That's just me. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope that's been amusing. Do please hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, leave a like, leave a comment, please share the video. I'll speak to you